Yes. So, Newegg.
Audio test.
Newegg went above and beyond.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, all audio across the board looks to be A-okay. Well, it's 7 o'clock on a Friday, which means it's time for Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9000. As always, I'm your host, SneakyDevil, joined today by both Max Force and Atin, who are getting quite good at being here.
Alright, hold the fuck up.
No, and we can quit right now.
Okay, you know,
There's no way he can carry this stream on his own. We both know he can't.
Rephrasement, both being here.
Okay.
As always, in an effort to avoid litigation and/or any other sorts of legal problems, do not harass or otherwise contact anyone shown on this stream unless the author has given their express permission, at which point we will tell you such things. That'd be both bad for you and bad for us and bad all around. It's not fun. Don't do it, okay? Thanks.
Good. Trying to give us a pop quiz in Spanish.
You get the fuck out of here!
The purpose of this stream is to offer critique and laughs. Any words or actions performed on screen are to be taken as satirical, unless otherwise specified. We are not professional writers, professional editors, or professional orators. This is not professional, in-depth critique. It is a brief overview of commentary from the knowledge we have gained through our lives. And remember, the Discord down below will let you follow along at your own pace. Or, you know, contact us and talk with us later.
Why you want to do that, I have no idea, but you can.
As previously stated, this is a work of parody. We don't own anything we display on stream. With all that being said,
we own those really awesome. We own the awesome banner at the top of the screen with its obnoxious font choices.
Yes, the obnoxious.
We
font
own that.
Choices. Don't think this is big enough to need a full-on disclaimer. See, you would think that until you're sued.
It only takes one. Really?
It takes one person.
I don't have the money to be sued. Max doesn't have the money to be sued. Atin doesn't have the money to be sued.
Oh no! What are they going to take from me? My pile of debt! No!
Sue me
I
for
will
my
sell
debt,
you
please.
my debt. Take that.
Alright, so, the first fanfiction we're covering today has been linked into the Discord down below.
Yeah, that's a great reaction on our part. Oh wait, America is like, yeah, the country where you can, if not outright win a court case, you can waste someone's time and money out of spite.
Just fucking today, I read a headline for Chicago. Some some officer shot somebody, and I guess it was deemed to be an improper shooting, and the city government has to pay like 200, like I think it's $29 million, I think. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Jesus fucking Christ, I'll go get shot by an officer for $29 million.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? My state is the most in-debt state in the union. We don't have $29 million. We can't fix our goddamn roads.
Oh yeah, no, just to give you an idea of like the kind of stuff that can happen. When I went to the University of Alabama, this was a deal they make with every incoming freshman because they have this much confidence in their bus drivers.
Oh.
If you manage to get hit by one of our buses, we will give you a full ride, full medical bills, and help you find a career in your chosen path, and we will not kick you out.
Wow.
Everything will be paid. Everything. If one of their bus drivers manages to injure you with a bus. So literally,
clearly they just train the bus drivers to kill them.
Try it.
Got a double tap.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is a Soul Eater high school D times D. You know, I felt, you know, existential horror was a good premise to start with because we're so close to Halloween.
I'm just gonna kill myself now and save myself some time.
Oh, well, okay then. I guess
well, hang on. I have an important question.
Yes.
Is this going to be the anime or the manga? Because one has a much better ending.
I don't think it's gonna matter. The Empty Reaper. Issei Hyudo is a nihilistic boy who gave up on the world getting better. Nihilistic. On the world getting better during his time as a Meister for the DWMA. But when his friend is brought into the supernatural, he will join to protect his friend and hopefully claw his way back into optimism. Okay, 666 times Issei. Corona times Rainere.
I'm sorry, one does not claw their way back to optimism. It's not how that works.
I mean,
it's pretty poor phasing. Yeah. Yeah.
Like someone can choose to be more optimistic, but part of the process of choosing to be optimistic is not struggling to look at the bright side.
Alright, so, no one's going to pick up on the fact that this is a romance story with Issei fucking 666?
Man, that's just on the list of things I have to get to.
Who is... Okay, Trihex is also from high school DxD.
Yes.
And... Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No. No. Just... Go away.
No.
Yes.
Anyway, moving right along.
Issei, I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name, a Kuo Academy student of average height, skinny, almost skeletal look that makes his ribs and bones more revealable. The
Sneaky,
skeleton
do me a
is
favor,
inside him.
tack one up on the derail count, but I was wrong. It was more money than I thought. $44.7 million.
That is excessive. Anyway.
That is all. Carry on.
The skeleton
if they get away with that.
Black hair with a white N highlights. With white N highlights. What the fuck is an N highlight?
Are they trying to say end highlight? Or do they mean that this piece of shit had white highlights in his hair that formed an N?
No, it's ends. because apparently he also paints his nails with white ends on.
Yes.
There is a
they
letter
are
N
ends. Yeah.
on his shirt.
He's
and
doing ends.
3 N tattoo. Why?
Yep.
Does anyone actually know? I don't know why.
N highlights that cover
I'm getting
his
steadily
eyes.
more annoyed.
Black nails with white ends on them. Wearing an armband with little spikes on his arms. A skeletal collar with a tag that had the letter N on it. Black blazer, black pants, black and white boots. 3 N tattoos on the back of each hand. And an expression on his face that said N.
What?
He's lying.
It says boredom.
His face that said boredom.
Thank God,
Is this supposed to be like in for nihilist or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be N for nihilism. This makes me want to end myself.
Alright! Alright, now that I've killed some brain cells, let's keep going. Ow. Ow, shit. That actually really hurt my head.
You know,
I can't do this.
I feel like you guys wouldn't have such a hard time if you could just do the thing that I do, which is where I just turn important operations off in my brain so I don't lose those cells.
Max.
You should learn to find that switch. It's a great switch.
Issei dash parentheses. Going to school is like so pointless. Even if we learn everything to get a job, it just reduces the probability of a person dying since they will have more access to food and appliances than people who are poor. Blah, 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 blah. I hate God. Kill all of its followers.
Blah, 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 blah. I don't understand what nihilism actually is. Blah, blah,
One
blah.
was a boy.
Roll out the edge banner!
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. One was a boy with the look of a monkey with baldness, Matsuda, and the other one had light brown hair with square-rimmed glasses, Motahama. They are the perverted duo. The final one is a young boy with a thin, tall stature, short pink hair, with large clumps sticking out in several places, straight-cut bangs. I'm reading that correctly.
I think you are.
The final one is a young boy with a thin, tall stature, short pink hair with large clumps sticking out in several places, straight-cut bangs. There is no comma there. And monotone expression. This boy is Krona Gorgon, aka the Shied Prince. Matsuda dash. Issei my man. Issei dash. To graduate.
I am getting more and more upset and I need to kill something.
That is not how you dialogue.
None of this is how you dialogue. Also, I want to point out they didn't capitalize Krona Gorgon at all.
Krona Gorgon. Gorgon is not Krona's last name, and Krona has remained androgynous to the point that they use the actual pronoun they in Japanese.
Yeah, isn't the
I don't think they actually
I didn't know
what
Gorgon
gender
was
you
his
are?
last name, but Krona should still be capitalized. That's for
It
sure.
should still be, yes, but it's one thing to take Haku and make Haku a female, because Haku was at least committed to as a male who just happened to look feminine. Krona was never committed to a gender. I don't know why that bothers me. It's always bothered me. It always bothers me when someone tends to commit to one gender or the other for certain things that are genderless to the very end of the series. That's like someone deciding to describe Wilson's face from Home Improvement.
Indeed. I actually can't read anymore. The fact that he's basically doing script line dialogue.
And poor grammar and spelling, among other things.
Yeah, it's among other things. But just the sheer fact that he's doing script line dialogue makes me want to murder.
This is
what the fuck is this?
Look.
Question mark dash.
Look just past the line break. The pervert, like, they didn't even bother to capitalize the first letter in their sentences.
Question mark dash.
Okay, so apparently we're looking at a poorly localized visual novel without the pictures.
Fucking apparently.
The emo night. Oh.
Okay, please tell me their latest chapter got better.
Alright, everybody, we're going to chapter 4.
Holy shit, they figured out how to do dialogue! But they're censoring themselves!
No, they didn't. No.
Fucking Christ!
Sneaky, go to chapter 4. Go to chapter 4.
I'm at chapter 4. They got, okay, correction. They got rid of name dash.
Are you sure you're on chapter 4? Because I'm looking at chapter 4 and I'm seeing walls of text and dialogue.
Yes, no, I'm saying correction. They got rid of blank name dash for dialogue. It's now just walls of text.
Script. Okay,
it's now just massive walls of text. Hi, Evil, yes. You know, congratulations.
We were busy ranting.
Okay.
We do know that there are published books written like scripts. That does exist. But even if that's true, this individual still has terrible grammar.
Well, not only that, it is actually against the terms of service when you're posting a fanfiction on fanfiction.net to post it in a script format.
Okay, that might be true. That wasn't our complaint.
Yeah, I know.
That might be a valid.
I'm just saying, as a response to Evil Within's like, oh, we'll publish books to it. It's like, okay, well, fanfiction.net operates under different rules.
And says you can't, so...
Well, yeah, like, it's fine if the fanfiction is written like that, but again, part of the thing that we make note of is if you agree to guidelines on a site, follow them.
And you know what? I didn't read the fine print.
Thank you, Isley.
Unfortunately, that is not an excuse in court, and it's not an excuse when you sign a terms of service agreement. Especially because it's not like fanfiction.net is a fucking iTunes agreement.
Yeah.
It's not some...
It's actually quite short and quite clear what you are and aren't allowed to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not some impenetrable piece of bullshit.
Isley says my ability to find shit fiction remains unmatched. I know, Isley. I don't even intentionally do this. I'm like, oh, this looks dumb. And then I enter it, and I'm like, oh, I want to get smashed. You know, it's a proper reaction. Yeah. Alright, so now that we're done with that soul-wrenching horror, we can move on to something else. Like, this one. Lord of the Rings For Honor crossover.
Alright, you know what? At least that has some potential.
As always, I'll be placing it in the Discord found down below.
I was going to say, before we start getting upset, you know what? We're going to talk about something positive. Let's talk about how this is a great example of something we're always talking about. Whether or not a fan fiction will fit well in the setting. In this case, Lord of the Rings and For Honor will work very well, because even though Lord of the Rings is fantasy, it is, for, I would say, 98% of the books, extremely low fantasy.
Yeah.
Another fun thing is that you even could make the claim that For Honor just takes place on the other side of Middle-earth if you wanted to go that far. Because do the books ever actually go to the other side of the world? Different continents?
No. The other continents are mentioned, but they don't go there.
Yeah, so here's one of the fun things. You could claim the For Honor world is just a small mesh of those continents.
You could. Also, Evil Within, that link you gave, it leads to a non-existent page. Wikipedia does not have an article with this exact name.
What are you talking about?
I clicked it.
You threw up because of For Honor. That's impressive.
What evil within?
Put a link to some Wikipedia page, which is apparently a book written like a script, if any of us care.
Which we don't.
Where's the...
In the chat! The Twitch chat, Max!
Why am I still unable to see links? I'm a mod now, but it still just deletes them on my end.
I'm not saying I can't click on it.
That's amusing because
I'm
literally everyone else can apparently see it.
Non-existent page. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it takes me to a non-existent page.
Yeah, what's it called?
Monster. Myers novel. Only. I don't even...
Anyway. I'm not even trying to pronounce that title. A warden, a Valkyrie, and the Norochi find themselves washed up on a foreign land after a freak wave destroys
this one
most
would probably work
of the naval forces amassed by the factions. They find themselves caught in a war waged by beings and monsters they never knew existed. In an attempt to regroup, they now face a vital choice. Stay and fight with the honor, or conquer the land with their newfound power.
What? Oh no. I really hope the author isn't going to ruin the whole low fantasy thing, because that's really fucking important to Lord of the Rings.
I just want to point out, by the way, they kind of don't care much about conquering after the end of For Honor, so this warden had better just be a poly.
Yes, Lotar and For Honor. Prologue, a divine wind. It was the War of Wolves, a conflict set in motion by the master of the Blackstone Legion, Apollyon. A battle on the northern sea was commencing, a storm raging as if the gods themselves were warring above. 3 sides took part in this naval battle. The Knights of the Iron Legion, the war-born Vikings, and the Dawn Empire Samurai. Lightning flashed and thunder roared as men and women fought on the boats of the 3 factions, regardless of who or what was on them. Rain poured on mercilessly as the raining of steel, the frenzied roars of warriors, and the dying screams of the dying.
I'm sorry. I almost choked on my noodles when I noticed what that sentence was.
The dying screams of the dying.
Like, it's not even improper, it's just redundant.
I was gonna say.
But, like, it's still fine.
I was gonna say, it's fine. This is just a... English is a very weird language, and so
if anything,
just
this is
redundant.
Yeah, if anything, like, us saying this ruins the story is an actual, like, fucking nitpick language at that point.
None of us are saying it ruins the story. Honestly, it's funnier than anything else.
On the bright side, though, the first paragraph does not hurt my eyes. It does not make me cringe. So, already doing better than most of the crap that Sneaky throws up.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I was gonna say, I hold out hope that they won't kill the low fantasy, because that's incredibly important to Lord of the Rings. If they do, maybe they won't have done it terribly. Yeah.
Also,
we'll see.
Evil.
Assuming we get to see in this chapter.
The reason why we're TOS hunting, as in your own words, is because if you have rules on a website, I am not going to sit by and say, oh, well, you only need to follow some of them. You follow all the rules on a website. I'm not going to sit there and have double standards of, oh, well, you don't need to follow these rules, because I think these rules are stupid. No, if there's rules, you follow them.
You also noticed we didn't do anything about it. We just thought it was worth pointing out that it's not something you're supposed to do on the site.
So, get off your high horse. Anyway. Apollyon may have been yet another corpse now, but she certainly had her war. Aboard a Viking longship, 3 warriors did battle in the watery furor. Probably could have phrased that better. They were busy fighting off mere grunts and arrow fodder, as well as trying to keep themselves from going overboard on the rocking ship. One was a warden of the Iron Legion, donning a set of interwoven silver-like metal plates in the Elner style atop chainmail, topped by an Arcturus. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Can't you just make him be a normal knight? None of these terms.
There's a lot of customization that
I know there's so much customization, but it's just like using the names of Elner style and Arcturus helmet. I don't remember them. You know?
I was gonna say I don't think most people will. There's nothing wrong with it.
I wonder if you can fall asleep to this. I don't know. My voice does put people to sleep sometimes.
Except, when we're ranting.
Indeed.
For the languages of most of the languages, Latin, Icelandic, Japanese, most Black speech, and other languages.
Blah 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 blah. More descriptions of the people. It's an Orochi, it's a Valkyrie, it's a Warden. You know what they look like, or have a general idea of what they look like if you played For Honor.
And if you want a bit more detail, well, great thing about For Honor, it's got a fantastic wiki.
Yep.
So you can actually go look if these are actual styles of armor, weaponry, you can go look it up and actually have a picture of these characters, which points to the author for that, at least. If you're gonna pick a game to do descriptions, For Honor is one of the better ones.
But again, as always, I will mention it. Lord of the Rings is more popular than For Honor. For Honor was never really that big in terms of popularity. If people are reading this fiction, it's probably because they're here for Lord of the Rings, not For Honor.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a fine intro.
I know, but what I'm saying is you have to write it like people know Lord of the Rings and not For Honor, because.
Well, that may be why the author chose to give those descriptions.
Yeah, so I know, but that's what I'm saying though is maybe like actually describe the armor itself instead of giving the name of the style. Yeah, it's like you could go that way, and I'm only saying it because again, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm not gonna say it here because reasons. I say it every time it comes up. Foot soldiers of all factions fell to these 3 warriors, and as soon as the deck was riddled with the bodies of knights, Vikings, and samurai alike, the 3 looked at each other with feelings of rage, bloodlust, and determination as they began to circle up, locked in defensive postures. "Who dies first?" the Valkyrie asked as she hefted her spear. The Orochi was silent, but the warden began to murmur a prayer under his breath. "Lord, give me the power to slay my foes." The Valkyrie growled a little while looking at both warriors. Then she let out a war cry while charging at the warden. He blocked with his what? Oh dear. Alright, forgotten word, not a big deal. Indeed. Though his eyes widened.
Obviously it's a problem, but...
I mean, it might be the sword, it might be his arm.
I was saying we're really quiet over on the YouTube chat.
Okay, let me...
Did Windows screw with your, OBS again? Because it does that occasionally.
Alright, folks, pardon us. We're going to be troubleshooting a technical difficulty real quick. Don't you just love technology?
How do you make sure... No, it's even boosted.
That's odd. I just popped up in the Twitch. I'm louder than you guys. You Atin and Sneaky, you two are actually kind of quiet on the stream for some reason.
I mean, I could boost myself a little bit more.
Should not.
Am I appropriate volume for you guys on the Discord?
Yeah, you're fine for me.
Yeah, you're fine on our end, but I have you two set to your own custom levels anyways.
Okay,
So, how you doing, audience? I have to vamp while they figure this out. So, has anyone read any good books lately? Maybe played a good game? Recommendations?
No. I sit here alone in the dark, crying quietly to myself for 5 days out of the week.
All right, how about now? Am I properly loud, boys and girls?
I wouldn't know.
This is...
They both... Apparently, Chrysanthemum thinks they both die at the end was alright. I'm gonna guess that's a book?
Yeah,
let's find out.
Probably.
The power of Google.
Alright.
Well, some people saying the audio is fine. Isley's saying there's some trouble in his end.
It might be you fucking up. Yes, security, yes. Highly recommend security to people. It's a nice little fic. Alright, excellent. So I sound better.
Alright, moving.
Let's keep going.
Let's go. Though his eyes widened a little as he saw the Orochi take advantage of the block, the warden then shifted his weight and shoved the Valkyrie towards the Orochi, who pivoted out of the way, and she recovered just in time to block a blow from him, at the same time swinging her shield to smack the Orochi's head, sending the samurai stumbling while dazed. The warden shouted as he began to unleash a flurry of attacks on the Valkyrie, who countered as many attacks as she could with her shield. The steel-coated base managed to stop the blows long enough for the Orochi to recover and attack the warden from his right. He faced two fronts now, blocking attacks until all three locked weapon, grunting.
Why they ganging up on the warden? Huh? What'd the warden ever do to you?
To be fair, the warden had what's known as a vortex combo, in which it basically just never ends while you're blocking. So fuck him in particular.
All right, fair enough, I suppose.
I suppose that is fair. You missed me, idiot, the Valkyrie hissed out. Soon she ripped her spear out, causing the warden and Orochi to stumble at the sudden interruption. In the next moment, she shield bashed the warden into the Orochi, causing them both to stumble and slip on the slippery deck.
See, I know this can't actually be a match of For Honor, because if it was, someone would have died to an environmental hazard by now.
They both cursed as they landed on bodies, though they acted quickly in getting up. The Valkyrie attempted to stab the Orochi while he was down, but the spearhead met a different body than the samurai's. He had used a Dead Iron Legion grunt as a meat shield to take the blow, to which he shoved and sprung up, knocking the Valkyrie back with a spinning kick. The warden recovered by this time, and when the Valkyrie had been knocked back, he shouted. He shoulder-bashed the Orochi into the mast of the ship, stunning the man. "Pitiful!" he shouted while going in for a quick strike. The Orochi gasped as he saw the blade coming and moved just in time to avoid the strike. The blade grazed over his ornament.
Fucking goddamn Orochis and their stupid dash moves. That's what he's using.
His ornament, as it struck the wood, leaving embedded partially. The warden cursed loudly as he yanked it out, only to be tripped by the Orochi's legs. He fell onto his back, though he raised his sword to block a heavy strike from him. He rolled back onto his feet, raising his sword and locking eyes with the samurai, who assumed a guarded stance. Overall, this is actually fairly well done combat.
I was gonna say, as far as combat goes, this is really good.
Obviously, there's some bits and pieces here and there that don't quite match up, but far better than what we normally see.
Yeah, but again, I'm also a bit tired of detailed fight scenes, just because without a visual aid, it does get a bit...
Yeah,
so, that's just a personal thing with me, though.
That is true. Let's have an honorable showdown, the Orochi hissed. NANI?!
Let's have an honorable showdown. Right, you can do that. I'm gonna be over here calling in the catapult strike.
And that is what would have happened had not the Valkyrie rushed in and blitzed the Orochi with a roar, slamming him into the ground with her shield. The Orochi shouted, "NANI?" In response, though he managed to bat away the spear strike before springing back up to his feet, the Valkyrie chuckled a little as she held up a defensive position against the Orochi, but it was soon flanked by the warden, the three forming a triangle of death. Suddenly they heard the creaking of wood and the roar of the ocean growing louder. The ship began to sway roughly as the waves picked up, causing the three warriors to stumble and lose their balance. The Valkyrie and the Orochi clung to the mast, whereas the warden lost his balance and slipped. Sliding down to the edge of the hull, he would have slid off into a watery grave had he not grabbed onto the ship's decorative shields, keeping his upper body above while his legs were submerged. The long ship then rocked back, throwing the warden onto the deck and causing him to slide with its many corpses to the other side. Yeah?
I can say, if they would just, like, team up, if one of them would just, if they would just focus one person, they could get it over a lot faster.
Yeah, but For Honor is all about being dumb.
I can't deny that.
Let's be honest here. Someone should have been thrown way earlier in the fight.
Probably. The Orochi and Valkyrie had recovered once the ship had returned its center of gravity, though the latter had their legs taken out from underneath them by the sliding warden, while the former jumping at the last second. The warden's hand shot out and gripped the mast, stopping him from sliding any further, though he didn't have time to get up. The Orochi was upon him, bringing down his katana over and... Bringing down his katana on the warden's longsword, he managed to parry the blow and shove back, sending the Orochi stumbling into the recovering Valkyrie. He fell over her and landed on his backside, giving the Valkyrie the advantage. What is this? 5e? She started to raise her spear to strike, only to hear the loud grunt of the warden behind her. She raised her shield to block the blow, parrying the attack and sending the knight stumbling. Right as the Orochi stood up, he let out a roaring as he kicked the Valkyrie in the back, sending her into the warden and collapsing them both onto the ground. The Valkyrie landed on top of the warden, which in turn she rammed her knee into his crotch. Instead of feeling cloth or weaker chainmail, the leather-capped knee struck hard steel plate. She roared out in pain and rolled off the warden, who was chuckling until he was forced to block a strike from the Orochi. In the midst of the strike, he parried the blade so that it ran forward, causing the wielder to stumble forward. Rolling back as the Orochi stumbled onto him, the warden launched forward with his legs forward, sending the samurai forward towards the front bow of the forward ship.
I gotta ask Sneaky, do you ever breathe? Because you're doing a really good job.
I'm still fairly well written.
Yeah.
This is one hell of a Rube Goldberg fight, though.
I mean, that's basically what the original For Honor cinematic was.
Just a continuous Rube Goldberg?
Yes.
Yeah.
The warden had managed to roll up and resumed his stance, only to be knocked down by the impact of another longship colliding with their own. I mean, we're making pretty good time on this. He fell to his knees and began to curse, only for the stream of curses to grow as he saw that the other ship had caught, set ablaze by either a lightning strike or a barrage of oil fire arrows. Both ships were caught together, the yard arms crossing and locking, as well as the oars of the burning ship crashing into splinters, and the forestays of both ships tangling. To make matters worse, the sail was beginning to catch. The Orochi and the Valkyrie saw this too, and they had thoughts about jumping ship, perhaps swimming to another longship. However, there wasn't another vessel within swimming distance. Given how fatigued they would drown in the process, so there was one thing to do. "Cut the sails!" the warden shouted while pointing at the yard arm with his longsword. Despite not understanding the language, the Orochi caught on, then rushed forward towards the mast. He sheathed his katana, then motioned for the warden. "Boost me up!" The warden looked at the Orochi with a raised eyebrow, but then he understood after the samurai pointed upwards. He sheathed his longsword upon his back, and then he got on one knee in front of the mast. The Orochi ran back and did a running jump, landing on the warden's back and using him as a springboard to get higher on the mast. As he did, the samurai took a risky move and rebounded off the mast and grabbed onto the starboard shroud. Had his grip been weaker, the slippery rope and mast would have led him to his death. Nevertheless, he climbed up as fast as he could, struggling to catch up to the sails before the fire could entirely consume it. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie was working to free the ship away. She looked at the warden as he was working to unhinge the decorative shield as well as the smashed oars in the rowers' seats. She saw the riggings and knew she'd have to cut them, but it'd have to be on the burning ship. She took a running start, then vaulted over the hull rail onto the burning ship, sprinting towards the front rigging and forestay. She didn't notice the screaming and burning warriors around her, though she did fend off a berserker and burning Kensai samurai, fending off this huge Nodachi with her spear before she shield bashed him in the face and threw him off the ship into the water. She then worked her spear to cut the caught forestay, hacking the rope off with her spear. What?
Why did the berserker?
Probably because he was on fire. And
maybe, but I hope that's what it was, because presumably this is after Paulian is dead, and Viking clans are, for the most part, fairly... At the very least, if they're in the middle of fighting the other factions, they're not going to fight each other, since they, took care of
berserkers tend to, berserk.
I would say, the berserkers would probably just be fighting whoever they damn well pleased.
It's boring, he says. I mean, yeah, fair enough. It is mildly boring. I'm trying to keep the pace up as best as I can to make it interesting, but I mean, it's just very well written narrative.
The most boring part of this so far has just been the fight scenes, like actually explaining stuff, some of what the actions actually kind of interesting.
So I'm just gonna skip ahead to the part where they get into the Lord of the Rings.
Does that even happen in this chapter?
No, it's possible. But yeah, no, I mean, surprisingly, we're skipping it not because it's bad this time around. We're skipping it because it's okay. But
we're skipping it because it's long, and while it's not boring, it's just people aren't here for a long read, really.
Well, it's not even that. It's just it's okay. It's narrative.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is going on our list of stuff that we could give a recommendation to read.
I wouldn't go that far.
Compared to the usual crap on here, I would solidly recommend this, Sneaky.
That's like saying you solidly recommend a half-bruised banana because you normally feature shit. We don't know the full story of this yet. I would not preemptively recommend this yet. So far, it while well written, it's fairly dry narrative.
Yes.
Okay, well, the prologue does not get us in Lord of the Rings.
It doesn't.
No, it ends with the wave hitting them. So, I'm gonna hop over.
Wait a second. Hold on a fucking second. So they all speak the common language, but they were shouting at each other and not the common language earlier.
Well, I guess the argument could be made it was the middle of combat, and they didn't just, take effort to have to help each other to not fucking die by fire then drowning.
Fair enough. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got names. That is an excessively long name.
Yep.
Alright, so blah, blah, blah.
You know what? I would honestly say let's just go to chapter 2.
Yeah, no, let's see what goes on with chapter 2. So, okay, so blah, 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 a giant-ass wave hits them, and they all learned their names, and they all speak the same language, so they can all talk to each other now.
Which is its own giant problem.
Again, No, I believe that's a thing. In For Honor.
No, I mean, I really don't think it is because, you know, there's the entire bit from the game. Oh, well, I tortured them. Well, what did you find out? I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's possible not. I mean, again, the author introduced that as, "Do you guys speak it?" implying that maybe not everyone does.
Yeah, and you know, there's nothing inherently speaking wrong with that. So,
and to be fair, it's less of an ass pull. Like it's less of an ass pull to say there's some sort of trade language because you know they weren't. Everyone wasn't always at war. I would say that it'd be some sort of trade language where all three of them could get basic speech across, and it's less of an ass pull than having one of the Arda to come in and be like, "Hoobity boobity, you can all speak language now."
I guess it just.
It's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, there's not a good way to do it.
Because, I mean, what else then? You're gonna have a bunch of fucking Japanese, Scandinavian, and Old Latin being spoken all the time, and no one's gonna be able to talk to each other, and their dialogue's basically gonna go nowhere. It's just like, you gotta compromise on some things.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so, I mean, so far, my only complaint is it's been intensively dry. The action scenes, while well written, are clinical. Rube Goldberg-y. Yeah. Anyway.
Hold on, I'm getting a call.
Blah, blah, blah. They woke up. This wasn't heaven. Seawater. Blah, blah, blah. He's describing what he looks like. They're on a beach. They washed up on the beach. Blah, blah, blah. They washed up on the beach. Currently describing their looks.
Wait, why are they describing their looks again?
Because it's not their, because they all lost their helmets and shit, so now they're describing
so it's their
faces.
No, they didn't lose them, they took them off.
I thought the warden lost his.
The warden might have, but the other two just took them off.
Yeah. Anyway. Blah, blah, blah. I thought I would be dead. It's impossible that we're here. Our karma must not allow us to die, or else this is all an illusion. I can say this isn't a dream. I'm pretty thirsty for a drink. Search the dead and wreckage. If you find any meat, I'm gonna drink it. I don't speak moon speak, idiot. 10 out of 10.
I don't speak moon speak, idiot.
Searching the wreckage, disorientation, found some water and food. We were lucky. Yep, we're so lucky. Let's get a picnic going. They sat down and ate and drank.
Okay, hold on. Look, I understand that they've been through a traumatic event to each other, but they were just trying to kill each other.
Yeah, but when you wash up on an abandoned island of a place you were pretty sure you shouldn't have woken up on, I could see being like, alright guys, let's not kill each other until we figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Counterpoint to that, literally everyone finding out that the war had been orchestrated by Apollyon and everyone working together to kill Apollyon didn't stop them the first time.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm aware.
Counterpoint, survival instinct's going to be pretty strong.
Well, I mean, yeah, other counterpoint, they aren't part of the army anymore. They don't even know where their armies are anymore. It's just the three of them, for as far as they're concerned. And as far as they're concerned, all their comrades think they're dead as well, so there's no rescue coming.
Fair enough. I did feel the need to raise some objection, especially given, because to me the main concern was the ending of the damn story, where they still kept fighting each other.
Yes. Blah blah blah. I detect evil nearby. I don't speak moon speak. Blah blah.
What
blah.
is he, a paladin?
I don't know. Maybe.
You both lack spine. You're a barbarian. Let's go kill them. Get this elf filth to Isengard. Captain shouted. Blah, blah, blah. Got some orcs. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, blah. Elf talking. Shut your trap. You're not going to be talking much longer. Brand them. Brand him in his ass. Yes, stick the hot poker in his ass. Feed them to the wargs.
I was gonna say, there seems to be a little bit of an ass fascination going on, which I wouldn't put past orcs. But
let's see, blah blah blah. These guys are monsters. They should kill them all. Lead the charge. Raw. I'm gonna kill you all. No mercy. Kill them all. Salty humans face the orcs. Blah blah blah. What's a woman doing out here? I'm gonna eat her. She gets killed. Sorry, the orc gets killed. She's fine, of course. Blah blah blah. He's an Easterling. Blah blah blah. Howl of fear. Being.
Wait. Who did they just call an Easterling?
The Orochi.
Yeah. As stretches go, it's a pretty big one, but it is the closest thing he could be, but...
And the Eternal Wisdom is the one guy from Star Trek who goes, oh my, indeed.
I probably would have had them go with Haradrim.
Maybe. But, I don't know. In the flash of battle, yeah, sure. It's a mistake. It's orcs.
Yeah, but this isn't the flash of battle. This is a bunch of jackass orcs.
Blah, 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 blah. They're howling in fear of the Orochi. He's killing them all, flicks the blood off his blade. Captain fighting the warden. Blah, blah, blah. Banter, pitiful. Warden was not impressed. Parrying the blow, cut him in half. Burn in hell abomination.
That is the correct response to fighting Uruks.
I was about to say, like, of all the times for me to see that in a fiction of any kind, this is one of the few times that I think used properly.
Yeah, no, a normal human being, upon seeing an Urk for the first time?
Yeah, because an abomination is, essentially crime against nature.
Something like that.
And orcs definitely... Well, both orcs and Uruks definitely fit that bill.
They brought back the heads of the orcs that ran. It was fun running after them. They're so scared.
Okay, guys, that's a little sadistic.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they brought the heads of them. Weapon piles. Wonder what you call these things. They're orcs, a monster race bred in Mordor. They're vile, blah blah blah. They found the elves.
Oh, they're finding elves already, are they?
We thank you for rescuing us, but what's a Gondorian knight, Rohan shield maiden, and an Easterling doing here?
Okay, first of all, if they thought he was an Easterling, they'd be way less calm about that.
Yeah, they would.
Okay, granted, we don't know when this is set, but...
That's
a question. Well. Why would the elves deign to care about him? God.
Like, they might care about a Rohirrim, but...
Yeah.
That doesn't answer my question.
I'm just saying, I was agreeing with you. Like, they
Maybe
might...
these elves aren't racist?
I just figure, oh, it's not an elf. I guess I can tolerate this since they're not an elf.
Thanks, humans. You're a motley bunch.
No. Despite them being colossal dicks a lot of the time, to people that helped them, they were usually pretty chill. The only one they'd react negatively to is the one they perceived to be a Haradrim.
Isley does bring up a good point. The whole head-cutting thing could be the era of the Viking/Japanese they were based on.
I mean, we don't ever see them do that in the game, but that is just a game, so yeah.
Anyway, blah blah blah, raised eyebrows. They realized the three warriors were actually confused over being called what they were called. Thought you were foreigner. I thought you three were foreigners, but I took a guess anyway. Do you have any food or water?
I have nothing. Go fuck yourselves.
Gave them their food and water.
Okay. Maybe
I don't think she wants mine. I spit in it. Of course you did, Viking.
Alright, if nothing else, this author definitely has a good grasp of the English language and a fairly decent grasp on dialogue interactions.
Oh, yeah.
And so far, a decent grasp of each of... assume, even if they're not the characters...
They are distinct personalities from one another. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is important.
They're what we expect.
Yeah.
Based on what we know of each faction.
Hey, Max, you wanna give a swing at pronouncing that word there?
Which word?
Under the Sakura trees of home.
Come
on, Max.
What is?
Yeah.
You couldn't just write was it Daijobu Desukai? You could just do that. No, you had to go with this. What is this?
Probably the formal.
Onamai Hanan Desukai. You couldn't just write Daijobu. Really? Everyone should know what that is by now. It's its own meme. Fuck.
Forgive me, what's your name? Looked at the samurai with the blank expression, and then she blushed. Why are the elves blushing? The elves are blushing.
Why?
Alright, the elves are blushing, being hit upon by an Easterling. Okay. Sure.
Elves don't blush.
Anyway. The fanfiction community would like to dispute that.
Exceptionally young. Like, from the image I have of elves in the Tolkienverse, if she's blushing, she is an exceptional rarity in elves in that she's not a obnoxious snoot.
Snoot.
I was gonna say, for crying out loud, even the one that was in love with a human was an obnoxious snoot.
Blah, blah. Did you say elves? Yes, we said elves. You seem surprised.
I was gonna say, shouldn't someone have been like, yo, why are their ears pointy?
Blah, blah, blah. They do the introductions. We aren't together for this. Our lands are at war. Cruel joke upon us. The elf took in the information. We are indebted to you, Sir Rainier. Why should we trust you? Because we're at your mercy, Valkyrie. Good mood. All in favor of helping the sprites. Yes. Formed companies. Scavenge for supplies. Blah, blah, blah. For 3 weeks, they all traveled together. Blah, blah, blah. The elves were efficient and gathered food like fishermen and hunters.
Okay, look. Cooperation's all well and good. The elves have, to my knowledge, only ever willingly traveled with one group, and that was a bunch of halflings, who they have special respect for.
Wasn't it also because end of the world?
But I mean, at the time, it wasn't even the end of the world.
Oh. Like, I ended up buying the books digitally, so I will read them. But most of my Lord of the Rings knowledge is from reading The Hobbit and watching the movies. Looking back on it, to me, it was like, alright, we're gonna join them because we actually like halflings, and because fuck the other team.
I mean, yeah.
Because they don't like... From what I remember, they don't much like traveling outside of their territory if they can avoid it. Legolas being a bit of an exception.
They do not. Elves going outside of any kind of elfy land, even if they're going to another elfy land, is just the worst.
Yeah, like, Legolas struck me as one of those apparently really rare individuals of, I don't mind, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he was the weird kid in school. Of course, no one could say anything, because he was also the king's weird kid.
Yeah, like, it's kind of the prince, and I don't know how elves, deal with their, children being called weird. I don't think Legolas would have cared much either. So.
At least she's not a Shni. Indeed, Isley.
Isley?
Would you do it?
I have the power to ban people.
Not on YouTube.
Yeah, but that was from way back when, though, and I don't think Isley would know about that.
No, I think Isley was there for Shni.
Was he there for the Shni snowfields?
For the Shni snowfields?
That's not what it was.
Yeah, no, it was.
No, it was the Shni snowfields. So it was literally the snowfields. And you took that to be Shni.
No, that's because in the light novel I was reading, there was something called the Shni Mountain.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Wait,
it was
they translated it. They translated it as Shni.
Yes,
because that was
in the English variant. It was called the Shni Mountain.
No, so they're just it's the Snow Mountain.
No, Sneaky. In the fan translation,
yes, the fan translation,
it was Shni. In the official translation, because God knows the official translations tend to do better than fan translations, because fans just plug it into Google sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about...
Isley has watched the entire backlog. We thank you for that, Isley.
Oh, Jesus. That...
Why? Why did you do that to yourself, man?
So, I'm supposed to be, like, cutting stuff together, and I'm scared to. I'm scared to dig into that backlog. After episode 1, I'm scared to go any further.
Are you, though?
Yes, actually.
Oh.
Like, I wish I could skip it all and just go to, what, I think, like, episode 34, when you started doing actual production quality?
Yeah, it was around there.
Somewhere in the...
And even then, it wasn't really production quality. It was the first inkling that we should have production quality.
I've been ramping up our production quality in growths and spurts.
I'm not saying you haven't.
Now I just need to find an artist who's able to animate in Unreal 4 so I can get a nice little intro.
And, unlike some jackasses on the internet, we understand that artists don't want exposure. They want bad dragon dildos. I mean money.
Doesn't every artist want to be paid in dildos?
Alright, how many derails are we adding to that?
We're at 10. The present time, the company passed along the river, rowing about, blah blah blah. They shared their stories, serving under Elrond, founding of Rivendell, the story of the Middle Earth, samurai.
I'm sorry.
The founding.
Stories, how? Oh boy, these are some old elves. Yes. Like these are some old elves.
Give me blah blah blah. You are right over there. I'm fine. We're calling you over and over again. I haven't seen trees like this before. It was a lie, but it satisfied the warden. Samurai let out a breath of relief. Staring at him, impish grin on her face. She knew exactly what captured his attention. Confirmed with a wink before she turned away. Embarrassed Orochi wished she could take her head off at that moment. Oh good, the Orochi's a tsundere.
Oh. Alright, sure, why not? We'll just start throwing random character traits on them. Alright.
Blah blah blah. Those orcs were super easy. They're dim-witted. Blah blah blah. They're strong in numbers.
The orcs are dim-witted. What orcs have they I gotta know. What orcs are they fighting? Because Shadow of War, those orcs aren't stupid.
Yeah, but Shadow of War is an
actually, no, Atin. Those are supposed to be stronger than normal orcs, and it's only the captains and war chiefs and warlords that are exceptionally intelligent. And even then, some of them,
not so much.
I'm surprised they know how to open the doors.
That's true.
The question that caused them all to go grim and quiet. Why are you all at war? Some blood feud. They all got quiet. Blah blah blah. Samurai
You could say it's
them.
blood feud, or you could say we kind of just hate each other's guts and have been fighting each other for literal centuries and have no idea what else to do with ourselves.
That's actually what they're saying right now.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
The reason is buried under thousands of years of death. We've always been at war. We do have moments of peace. But an accursed woman named Apollyon sparked a war between us all once more. Provoked a war with the Viking clans into attacking each other. Until there was only the Warborn clan left.
TLDR, Apollyon's a dick.
Yep, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Also cheats.
Oh yes, remember when I needed your help to get through the boss fight?
Yeah.
And while I sat there on the hardest difficulty soloing her out of pure spite, I haven't been that angry at a game since
you can go fuck yourself, for the record.
Yes, we're gonna move on. It's just, oh boy, jeez. Like I said, this is well written, but extremely dry.
Yes, it is dry. That is a
This is just me personally. I'm probably going to keep reading it in my own personal free time because I've been looking for a good Lord of the Rings story for a while.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's completely fair enough, and this will appeal to some people. It's quality work.
No. I'm not saying that it isn't dry. I'm just saying for me, I'm probably willing to overlook that.
Yeah,
because I really. It's like, you know what? I so rarely get to read a good Lord of the Rings story. Even if I'm not wholly enthused with the idea, I'm probably going to keep reading it.
Oh boy, well, this should be a good one, boys. Get your drinks ready.
I don't have a drink. You said I wouldn't need any booze.
Well, that's unfortunate for you. This is Mass Effect story. Mass Effect Chimera. As always, the link can be found in the Discord.
Hang on, wait. Mass Effect, this sounds familiar.
Red Lightning D608. During the First Contact War, a virus was unintentionally unleashed upon humanity. A virus that wiped out the entire species within 3 years. The Council... The Council memories the race. The Council memories the race.
That's not how English works, I'm sorry to tell you.
Declaring it a galactic tragedy that a young race died. So, unexpectedly.
We were waiting for them to hurry up and die.
However, humanity isn't as dead as they seem, but life as a parasite species can be rough. Possible
no, it isn't.
Rewrite. Alright, so
life as a parasite species is great.
As always, before we begin, we're going to check to see if they are in fact rewriting this.
Okay, well,
No.
I'm actually digging into the author's profile here.
Okay, they seem to have a fetish for Mass Effect and dragons.
Yeah, apparently they're also from the Australian outback and have Asperger's.
Good for them.
Asperger's. Anyway,
well,
so,
hey, they're from the Australian
blah.
outback, so we can excuse any of their English that might be terrible. Because everyone knows Australians don't speak English. They speak Australian.
Of course.
I mean...
Sitting on a green, lush hillside overlooking large expanse of crystal clear water teeming with marine life, sat a young human being no older than 19 years of age. She was covered
with this no
in
older than 19 years of crap.
ragged clothing smeared with dirt and grime. Her red hair was
I wish
messy
Sneaky would
and
warn
just
us
as
before
dirty
William
as
Shatner
her
shows up.
clothing,
It's always weird.
with strands
Yeah.
of gray hair notable among the locks of red. Are there any Worm Mass Effect fics featuring dragons? Probably.
There's
But
Wyvern.
what really
there.
made her stand out was her. Oh yeah, there is Wyvern by Act.
I mean,
acting.
it's a Wyvern, not a dragon, but close enough.
Yeah. But what really made her stand out was her ghostly pale. Her ghostly pale. As in the carrying instrument. Face and dark eyes. Eyes that looked out across the expanse of water with contentment. Maybe even acceptance, for she knew what was going to happen. Along her skin, beneath her flesh, black veins pumped a deadly virus through her system. A virus unleashed upon humanity by aliens known as Turians, who came through Relay 314 so many years ago. The First Contact War had raged on for years and years, with the young spacefaring species holding its own against the relentless march of the Turian hierarchy. Some galactic superpower known for having the strongest military around, which became apparent as system after system. Humanity was pushed back into the Sol system, back to their place of birth. For young Hannah Shepard, I will once their fucking punctuation gets fixed. For young Hannah Shepard, she was happy to die on her homeworld. It was ironic, really, that this place of birth for humanity would be the place of its extinction. Hannah sighed and looked down at her frail and blistered hands, eyes threatening to burst into tears at the pain flooding her system from this deadly fanfiction.
That's not what it says. Come on.
Oh look, the YA thing where every emotion is visible through the eyes rather than the rest of the body. Indeed. Don't you know the eyes are the windows to the soul, and especially if they're blue
The eyes
and
are the
deep?
window to the soul, me boy.
You know, I'm still waiting for a chance to use that as an actual plot device.
What? The eyes being a window to the soul?
I mean, Harry Dresden does it all the time.
Yeah. Like... Are you okay, Sneaky?
No, I just got the fucking mental image of fucking Hovel punching Harry in the eye to rip out Voldemort's Horcrux. Literally, like, his full arm just goes straight into his eye socket and then pulls the fucking soul part out.
But like, I imagine, like, the arm, like, it's going straight towards Harry's face, but it just starts shrinking and compressing as it gets to the eye.
Indeed. The asshole is the window to this author's soul. Anyway.
All terrible people.
Hannah was possibly the last human being on Earth, or one of the last in existence, at least. She had battled against the virus that swept through her species, brought through the relay by the Turians. It was simple, really. The scientists knew that if any alien life was ever encountered... That's the end of the sentence. That the bacteria from both species could be lethal to the other due to difference in biology. Or like how the colonists of early 1600s accidentally realized
We have realized disease.
Diseases across the native inhabitants of other countries, like the smallpox outbreak that killed thousands of indigenous people in Australia centuries ago. The bitter taste
some of those
copper.
weren't accidental, though.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
some of those
I
were
was gonna
not
say, the third or
accidental.
fourth time, it was not.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hovel as in Hovel the Rock from Hovel the Rock stars in Dark Souls.
Hovel the rock stars, eh?
Yeah. Okay. Just no.
Looking out across the field of greenery, Hannah spotted the white mass moving towards the lake below. Just like she planned, she knew she'd find at least one of those beasts near water. Inhaling painfully, Hannah brought her fingers to her lips and whistled as loudly as she could, the shrill noise shattering the air and echoing across the field towards the unusual creature below. The creature that looked to be a cross of a wolf and lizard turned its partially scaled muzzle towards the hill, large white eyes scanning the greenery for the source of the noise while its furry ears twitched. Hannah smiled weakly at the creature below, knowing it to be the salvation of her suffering. She had given credit to the Systems Alliance. Their contingency plans were things of nightmares. A nightmare Hannah hoped one day would bite the Turians and their allies on the ass for committing genocide upon her people. Suddenly watching the wolf-like creature draw closer toward her, Hannah reflected upon the last years of her life, of watching the walls of bodies of cities in the cities, the stench of decay, and the rubble of the entire cities reduced to tattered landscapes from orbital bombardment. This is fanfiction. What the fuck is biology? Indeed. Don't you know that by merely not talking for a couple generations, you lose your ability to speak because your vocal cords disappear?
Don't. Also, you know there would be some hipsters that would continue to speak to be different.
Oh, totally, of course.
And they'd go back to the sacred oral traditions of our grandparents, yo.
Yeah, boy. Blah, 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 wolf-like creature. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the whole fucking thing. I just want to get this over with already, goddammit. Blah, 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 the man... Wait, what the fuck? She thought of all the friends, the man who was gonna give her a child, blah, 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 the life leaving her body as the... succumbed to the virus running through his body. Soft meow. Hannah looked up, came to face the muzzle with another hybrid-like creature. It was gooey slime that was as tall as a bear, but looked like a wolf with short fur. So it's a slime wolf bear?
I don't know, but apparently you confused Isley. I think with the Hovel comment.
If you read our Dark Souls story, which we have linked down below as well in the panels for Discord. The Twitch stream, which is also in the description if you're on YouTube. We do have a link to our current running fanfiction. By current running, I mean we haven't updated it in a year and a half. But by we, I mean me. By me, I mean Max hasn't gotten on my ass to write it.
Of course, it's Max's fault that you're lazy.
I mean, it kind of is. He knew what he was getting into.
No, see, I didn't. I trusted you to write your own chapters because you used to be able to do that. Remember? You had your own fanfictions.
And I abandoned all of them after the first chapter. That shows how dedicated I am to writing.
No, you abandoned them because you grew ashamed of the ideas of the way they were written.
I mean, yes, that too.
There's a difference. Like,
dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow.
leave the cat out of this.
I said cow, not cat.
Anyway, so the slime wolf bear is mewling at Hannah like a house cat. She's being sniffed again. She knew what was going to happen next. Above her, the creature split its chest open and began to eat her. The beasts, known as N7s, were genetically engineered monsters designed to eat humanity.
but no one knew what would happen after that, as all of their creators died.
All right, look, I want to point out that is a terrible. Oh no, we're losing, and we've been pushed back to a one planet. What should we do? Unleash the thing that will eat all of us.
It's to preserve the essence of humanity in the new Zerg swarm. Come on, Atin, keep up.
I want to be part of the Zerg swarm.
Actually,
I like not being.
Actually, no. Atin, I'm going to disagree with you on this. This is actually a fairly interesting idea.
I mean, yes, there is heavy suspension of disbelief here, but yes, there's potential here.
Oh no, I have to suspend my disbelief in a sci-fi game.
I know, I'm just
saying. Will I
just, you know.
Oh no, I'm a Star Wars fan. However will I suspend my disbelief?
I'm making a comment. Don't get your panties in a twist.
I know, but when people use that as an argument for why something doesn't seem as good, it's like, why are you looking at fiction in the first place?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Like, come on.
So blah blah blah, she's being eaten. Blah blah blah. Always wanted to explore the stars. The N7 looked down at her and cooed. I wanted to be a space captain. The N7 looked down at her and pretended. Okay, so it proceeded to do what its creators designed it to do. Tendrils of red flesh uncoiled from the inside of its body and began to consume Hannah. Some tentacles bore clear spikes that stabbed Hannah. Securing its load, the N7 proceeded to hoist Hannah inside of itself, pumping her body full of uninfected fluids, which began the purging of her system of the virus. So they made a cure. But people have to be eaten to get the cure?
Yes.
I read ahead. Like, what they do, it's like I said, it's an interesting idea. Lots of potential, but they need to change a few details.
What the fuck is this channel for?
I didn't sign up for this.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you kind of did.
You didn't know you signed up for it, but you did.
Blah, blah, blah. It wasn't all it did. She closed her eyes and was pulled into the wolf creature. The wolf slime bear. The slime wolf bear?
Slimy wolf bear.
The bear-sized slime wolf. There we go. Closed her eyes, raised a paw, put her into place, flesh rippled like water and sealed her inside, hidden by the walls of flesh. No one could see what happened to Hannah as it carried out its cask and converted Hannah into flesh that fused itself into the N7. The N7 whined and shuddered as the woman's mind and memories were copied into its own brain, mixing with its experiences, creating a confusing mess. Bones reformed, expanding, new muscles and organs began to develop. The process known as amalgamation continued as designed, fusing the two individuals into a new entity. Became a chimera, a creature named from mythology for good reason. The N7 now looked taller and more humanoid. It stood up on cat-like hind legs, humanoid torso. It had breasts. It was a furry, covered in gray fur. Basically a werewolf, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks to be like a werewolf. 9 foot tall, reddish gray werewolf.
Yes.
Pure white of the N7, dark brown, stumbling around, couldn't remember who or what she was. She was sick. She remembered her mother Hannah, how she was sick and dying, crying out in distress. The chimera hugged her knees and began to cry. Where were her parents? She was alone. A name that belonged to her and her alone. Her name was Jane Shepherd.
Woo!
This is a thing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we got bear-sized slime wolves who eat infected humans and then amalgamate into a werewolf.
Yep, makes sense.
Why the fuck didn't they do this, I don't know, earlier? Why didn't they have everyone line up and be like, alright everyone, line the fuck up and get inside your slime wolf so we can convert into werewolves or something?
It's probably there was probably supposed to have been an implication of these things were made after the virus hit.
Yes, that is the implication.
So, I'm assuming it took a few years for them to make it so it wasn't just destroying humanity. Probably.
I mean,
Like,
yes. Okay, well, who knows? We really don't know. The author's being vague.
Like, I'm probably not gonna look at this story ever again. But like I said, it's an interesting idea. It's got potential. It just needs to be handled a little bit differently.
And it's just
it lives up to like it lives up to like a quarter of it.
Yeah, it needs to explain some things. Yeah.
Also, apparently they do not have vocal cords. Apparently they just sign to each other to communicate. For some reason.
They created a super species of genetic hybrid that was made of slime and would amalgamate the DNA inside the people it ate into its own DNA, to which point it would create a new life form. But they couldn't figure out how vocal cords worked.
So you're telling me it's a weapon to surpass Metal Gear?
Yes. And I'm blind.
If Metal Gear Ray had fur, sure, why not?
Okay, give me a second. I
always
cannot see right now.
Always weird. We'll make a weapon to surpass Metal Gear. Why does it feel like you guys just keep making bigger Metal Gears?
I mean,
to be fair, technically speaking, if they're just making a bigger Metal Gear, that does technically surpass the previous Metal Gears.
I know, but it just seems redundant. Kind of stupid. Like, we'll make
Sahelanthropus and his flamethrower penis!
Hey, that was a legitimate weapon, and it was very effective.
It's a shame it couldn't do anything about the ankle biter.
Yeah.
Alright, so blada, she's looking upon Earth, the Chimera Alliance, she's twitching her ears, blah blah blah, some furry shit, blah blah blah.
Some furry shit. Boy, that's not gonna get us that's not gonna annoy anyone on the internet.
Probably. Or moved his hands, physically communicating with her in sign language. Unshackle us for real and sick us, that's the wrong form of sick. On the other side of the relay. Faint smile on the muzzle, blah blah blah. Wise captains don't look for trouble, hobble blah, hobble blah 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 blah. Wise talk for the brass, the aliens have it coming for what they did to our parents. Anger, touchy subject for Chimera because they carried the memories of the parents. Very close to the parental figures. Blah blah blah, standing tall, filling her parents' dying wish. Knock knock, who's there? Normandy who? That's as far as I got. Okay, so trashy joke. Oh, Miranda's here! Whoa.
Why is Miranda here?
Because the author doesn't know how to make original characters, so they were like, oh, well, Miranda was a character from Mass Effect, so now she's also on this ship. Blah, 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 they gave their salute. You know, I am seeing one key fatal flaw here.
Oh.
How do they communicate in battle?
Yeah, I don't know.
holographically delivered text sign language.
And like, see, this is the key part here, right? Because if there is a easy way to communicate in battle, which would have to be because it's in battle and you really don't have that much time to spend communicating with other people, then why wouldn't they use that everywhere else? Because it's so much faster and more efficient form of communication than sign language. Like, how are you gonna tell your helmsman, you know, do a fucking loop-de-loop and then spin to the left and make the enemy ships hit each other? Oh, you can't. Because for some reason, you need to fucking do sign language. Like, this is the part that gets me angry. Because I don't know what the author was aiming for here. Maybe the authors mute themselves. Regardless of the reason, there is a reason why deaf people and mute people aren't in the military.
It's because of exclusionary bullshit.
It's because they are quite a detriment. When you need to shout, "Sniper on the right!" and they don't hear you because you didn't say it in sign language.
They don't hear you because you didn't say it in sign language.
Thank you for being the one to point it out, Atin.
Hey, fuck off, alright. But you get my point, right?
I do understand what you're saying.
Anyway. Blah de blah de blah. Good luck, Commander Shepard. Blah de blah de blah. Holographic computer appearing around her arm. 2 hours. Oh, good. So they made Omni tools without the Omni tool part.
Glad they just had that.
Unconventional tactics using the swarms. Blah blah blah. It was a trick the humans learned during World War II. The use of large, heavily armed fleets became limited against swarms of agile fighters and bombers.
No. That's not how that worked.
Blah blah blah. Shepard. Blah mobile processing computer. Blah blah blah. Step forward. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, so 3D reconstruction. Capture Paul. Several planets. Arcturus system. Blah blah blah. Grave marker. Waving her arms. Destination was sent to the navigational computer. Informed Joker at the helm. Informed the entire First Fleet. Blah blah blah. Shepard opened communications across her ship and stood tall and proud before her entire crew as they paused to glance at the holographic projections of her. You couldn't even, like, have some sort of system where she makes sign language at the camera and it changes the sign language into audio? Like, you had to do holograms? So everyone has to stop what they're doing and turn and look at the hologram?
Like you say, this is just me. That seems real inefficient.
It seems expensive as shit. Blah blah blah, historic moment, authorized for us to go through, we know little, leap of faith, blah blah blah, signing off, howls and barks. So they can talk! Howls and barks. So they have vocal cords, but they didn't invent language. Cleanup on aisle 3, we seem to have a metric fuckload of bullshit.
So I'm gonna take a wild guess and say this person might be mute. Or they might have low-functioning Asperger's. Claws flying across control board, blah blah blah. He felt like he was riding a motorcycle down the street, but instead it was a super big warship.
That's not how a warship should feel?
Okay. So I regret reading that. Quite significantly so. Let's see what we got here. A second path. Or an inheritance cycle. So, alright, so Skyrim or inheritance cycle?
Let's go with the inheritance cycle.
Inheritance it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to kill yourselves?
I don't know if that was a yes or a no.
The ancient world. Aragon had...
Hey!
I'm linking it, you fucking piece of shit.
You started
yeah,
reading
he
before
reminded
had.
you.
No, I was in the process of it. Fuck off.
Oh,
The ancient world. Aragon has left Aglasia and has sailed out to begin the new Dragon Riders. And yes, I realize I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm doing it on purpose. Fuck off. However, he doesn't know he sailed back.
What, back to the past like Samurai Jack?
And is about to meet the elves before they were ever elves. And learn magic in ways he never expected. The dragons are here, but they are not the same. How will Aragon navigate the new world that is older than anything he can imagine?
Do we just want to not?
Do we veto this, boys?
You know what? Sure. We're coming up on the last half hour.
I don't hate it enough to veto it, so I don't want to use my veto on this.
Alright, so Max and I say veto, so we're gonna veto this. This is,
I'm honestly just doing this for sneaky sanity. Like I said, I have a switch in my brain I usually just turn off for these streams.
I was just gonna start drinking.
Alright, then, you know what? Let's go with that.
No.
You're gonna make him start drinking. What is wrong with you?
Not
You're
with,
a horrible friend.
Not with the basis of the plot being he got on a ship and accidentally back into time.
Oh, come on. You've never just, gotten on a plane and accidentally gone back in time?
No,
Maybe the author just means he crossed a time zone.
Maybe. Maybe you can go blow yourself. Have you ever considered that?
Why would I do that?
I find it highly amusing that I have 44 followers, but only 3 people show up regularly. But anyway.
There's a good chance the others are watching VODs or waiting for video game streams.
That's true as well, yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, we've got nearly 20 people in the Discord. Actually, we got a little over 20 people, not including you, Atin, myself, and our one mod. So
anyway. The inheritance cycle. Inheritance. A new legacy. Decided to stick with inheritance because,
20 years after the death of Galbatorix, Aragon has set up a new guild of riders in the east. A young son of an earl named Phineas has a dragon hatched for him. With little training in fighting, Phineas has to travel across Agasia with only a strange elf to guide him as they travel into lands unknown to reach Aragon's citadel. OC plus other characters.
I'm sorry, OC plus what?
Other characters. A hero's funeral. I'm drawing while I listen. These fics give me ass cancer.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're getting ass cancer from listening to this.
A drum sounded high above the streets of Illyria. Alright, Illyria. Jerking Phineas to full awareness, clouds filled the sky above him, as if even the sun did not want to show its face on this sad day. He was standing upon a riser, filling one side of a large square in the middle of Aurelia. He stretched upward. His legs had been exhausted standing up for the many hours on the riser, as speakers from all over Aglasia had come to give their eulogies for the death that had rocked across the corners of Agasia. The legendary scholar Geode had died of old age. Phineas knew not of him, for his greatest accomplishment had come far before his time. But as he saw the sadness in the faces of those in the present day, that day, including those of King Jormungandr, as well as his father, Lord Antor, the king's second in command, he began to realize what Geode had meant for the families of the former Varden. As the final speaker's words fell over the crowd, the drums began to sound. Boom. They began to carry Geode's body on the tops of shields, as was the custom, though the streets of Illyria out into the fields beyond, and on the plain in which the Varden had camped 20 years prior before the Battle of Urbane, right?
Don't look at me, I don't know.
There they would bury Geode, where he had wished to be buried on his deathbed. Phineas trudged slowly behind the procession. He was fourth in line, directly behind his father. At the front of the line, directly behind Geode's body, was his widow, Helen. She wore all black, with a black veil covering her face, hiding the sorrow she felt at the death of her husband. Helen had looked old as well, with gray hair flirting at times outside the veil. Yeah, it says flirting. I believe it say flirting. Falling behind Helen was King Jormungandr, followed by his father and then him. He was the youngest of the procession by far. At only 16, he was born almost 4 full years after the fall of Galbatorix, so the emotions and sorrow felt today were not his own, as he had not been around to feel the pain of the Mad King. They followed the body out of the sea one step at a time, the only sound being the beat of the drums and the stomp of feet. Nobody dared talk, for they were all affected by Geode's passing. After 30 minutes of this marching, they had left the city behind and now stood along the ground of the former camp as Geode was placed gently on the flowering grass, his long white beard falling daintily on his chest. The hole in which he would be placed had already been dug by soldiers. Geode lay next to it. A flat stone had been placed at the head of the grave, with the words, Geode, scholar of old, friend of Brahm, creator of the Varden, hero. May he forever rest in peace.
King Jormungandr stepped up. At last we have reached the final destination of Geode. He was a good man and a true friend. Unfortunately, time does not care if you have good in your heart or evil beyond all measure, for it destroys all that is in place. All we can do now is honor Geode with his sacrifices and accomplishments. May he be in peace for eternity. When the king's words stopped, 2 soldiers came up, picking up Geode's body and placing him gently in the hole. Helen stood silently over the grave as tears ran from her eyes onto the ground, looking one last time at her former husband. She stepped back and nodded to Jormungandr. The same 2 soldiers returned with spades in their hands and piled dirt onto Geode's body. With the last crevice had been filled, they smoothed out the dirt, and the great scholar Geode was no more. Some hours later, back in Aurelia, the great feast took place in the great citadel of Aurelia, as the people drowned their sorrows with food and mead, toasting to Geode's memory, for now was the time to celebrate his life, not feel the sadness of his passing. That is an excessively long sentence and needs to be broken up. Phineas mostly picked at his food throughout the meal. He had been bored for most of the time, and all he wanted to do was return to his room. But his father forbade it. Phineas was meant to be present at all events of the day, as Lord Antor reminded him that one day Phineas would need to learn and courtesy. Okay. And to attend events such as this, as he would be the one to take his father's place one day. And yet the hours rolled on, not giving Phineas the reprieve he needed. He continued to eat few items on his plate until his father, who was sitting next to him, nudged Phineas to get his attention. "Do you see that man down there?" Antor asked as he pointed at the other end of the long table to a large bearded man sitting at the other head of the table. "What about him?" Phineas asked. "That is Lord Roran Stronghammer," his father explained. "He has come all the way from his great hall in Palancar Valley. He was a hero in the war against Galbatorix, and he had flourished since then. You know his daughter is Mira, who is about your age, a bit older. I could introduce you." "Thank you for the offer, father, but I don't think I would be interested in her right now. I do not think idle small talk will be of use." "Do not think I take this offer lightly. You will do what I command. Then why is this an offer?" I know what is best for someone your age, and you must learn respect if you are ever to take my place one day." "What if I don't want to take your place one day?" Phineas snapped, raising his voice. "What if I want to live my own life, my own dreams, without having to worry about what you want?" Phineas looked around. His louder voice had gotten the attention of the earls around him. They all were staring at him in shock. Embarrassed, Phineas quickly got up. "I will take my leave," he sputtered softly, and quickly left the table, heading for his room. He quickly sped through the hallways and the staircases, until at last he arrived at his quarters. He pulled himself in, locking the door with a thick wooden plank resting on the latch, and threw himself on his bed, screaming into his pillow. "It's not fair," he yelled at the open air. "I don't have the freedom to be myself, and I must hide behind a curtain of courtesy without discovering who I am." He had cried for a few more minutes softly to himself. His exhaustion grew over him, and he fell asleep, tears still in his eyes. Yes, this is kind of the Sahara of dryness and disinteresting.
It's not, again, not inherently bad. Just...
Yes. Why is this a pattern with us? Whenever we find one thing that we find to be a problem, every fic for the rest of that day is always that.
I don't know.
Because right now, this is still going on.
We're actually going to be ending in 10 minutes, so we're probably going to be doing a stupid one now, so we can hype ourselves up. Not a Harry Potter one. Not a Mass Effect one. Sorry, let us actually do a Harry Potter one. Lord of the Rings Naruto crossover. Or we have Warcraft Wizardry.
It's up to you.
Warcraft Wizardry it is. Warcraft Wizardry. At the age 4, Harry knew more than most about the way of the world worked until Dudley brought home a game that would change the way they both looked at the world. Want me to read it again?
Sure.
As always, it's in the Discord. At age 4, Harry knew more about At age 4, Harry knew more than most about the way the world worked until Dudley brought home a game that would change the way they both looked at the world.
Wonderful. Let's
At age 4, Harry's playing WoW. Harry knew many things about the way the world worked by age 4. He knew that he was not loved like other children he saw play outside with smiles on their faces. He knew he was considered to be a burden despite the fact that he already took care of most of the chores on the inside and the outside of the house he was big enough for. He knew that he was the way that he was treated. The yelling, the punches, the lack of food, and the small cupboard where he slept were not right. He also knew that no one cared about the scrawny whelp that lived in number 4 Privet Drive. He was invisible to everyone, and he liked it better that way. Boy, get your lazy arse out of bed and fix breakfast before my Diddum starves to death. Aunt Petunia's shrill voice woke him up, as it did almost every morning. He sighed as he rolled on his side and put on his new glasses. The Dursleys had not been happy that they had to spend money on him. The lady at the daycare they left him at, they visited Aunt Marge, took him to an eye doctor when she noticed he squinted all the time. Couldn't get out of buying him glasses without looking bad, and they would not stand for that. Needless to say, he would probably never get left at daycare again, but he would be taken along or left behind at the house. He made breakfast almost mechanically. He had been doing it for almost 6 months, and they had always had the same breakfast: eggs, bacon, sausage, and flapjacks with gobs of syrup. After he was done, he was given his breakfast: a slice of bread, a halfway rotten apple, and a glass of water. He waited to the side so that he could refill his glasses before they got empty. It took almost an hour for them all to finish. Petunia didn't eat much, but she drank a lot of coffee in the morning. He cleaned the table and hurriedly did the dishes while his relatives got ready for the day. They were going to go to the mall today and probably spend lots of money on things that Dudley would break within a week. Yes, this is Edge Potter at age 4. Before they headed out the door, he was given a list of chores that had to be done by the time they got home, and a solid smack to the back of his head that almost sent his glasses to the floor. He regained his senses from the smack after they left and quickly sent to work. The list was long, and he had no idea how long it would take for them to buy enough to keep Dudley happy for a couple days. He mopped and dusted and organized and polished the entire house, and he was exhausted, but everything was done. Dudley watched his parents cater to his every demand with calculating eyes. He may not be very book smart, but he knew enough to know that he knew his parents were not good people. The way Harry was treated was very wrong. He really liked Harry. He was smart, but he didn't make Dudley feel stupid. He knew that if his parents saw Harry helping him with anything without ordering him to do it first, they would punish him for trying to corrupt him. Maybe he could use their desire to make him happy to get them to be nicer to Harry. They were, even if they didn't mean it, he could always make it look like he needed Harry's help on a new game and gradually warm them up to the idea of Harry being his playmate instead of just a burden they didn't want. He kept his, wow, these are some really fucking expert tier planning 4-year-olds.
Yep.
He kept his eyes in the computer game store because he knew that a lot of them are filled with things that you need to read to get farther in the game, and he would need help that neither of his parents would have the desire to give him. They hated his computer games. He found what he was looking for and displayed near the counter: World of Warcraft. They had all the expansion packs laid out together. It was perfect. He knew enough to know that he would need Harry's help almost constantly. It was to ensure Harry would be able to stay out of his cupboard for most of the day and might even be able to get him fed more often. After all, he would need his playing partner. As soon as he told his parents what he wanted, they tried to tell him he wouldn't like it because he would do lots of reading, which is what he wanted. He slowly worked them around to the fact that Harry was more than able to read and was perfect for playing the game. He made it seem like it was their idea and he was just agreeing with them. Wow, so he's already Machiavellian to your need. He left the store with all the game clutches to his chest with a strong sense of pride in his chest, and he may not be a genius, but he knew how to get what he wanted from his parents. Harry was surprised when his uncle immediately grabbed him when they got home and led him up the stairs with Dudley following, only to drag him into Dudley's room and almost throw him to the floor. Listen here, boy. Dudley has a new game that you're going to help him up with whatever he wants you to. Helping him is your new main chore. You will still do everything else, but only until Dudley doesn't need you anymore. Harry nodded quickly. He knew better than to question his uncle. Nothing ever good came of that. Yes, sir, Vernon nodded. Satisfied, he stalked out of the room. Both boys could hear the thunder down the stairs. Dudley looked at his cousin, sitting just on the floor of his room. He hoped his plan worked. Harry was so small and delicate, there was no way he would be able to survive at this home much longer. I need you to help me put this game on my computer and help me play it. He tried to make it sound like he didn't care if Harry wanted to or not, otherwise he knew Harry would get suspicious.
So, how'd you feel about that?
Not very good. Can we quit?
Yeah, this is it. That's it. We're done. Finito. Finito.
Oh.
Bingo, bango, dongo. Well, boys and girls, I hope you had as fun of a time as I did. Thank you to everyone who got this far. As always, if you enjoyed this, the archive is kept on the YouTubes, and the link to which can be found below if you're on the Discord, or, I'm sorry, not Discord, panels on Twitch. If you're already on the YouTubes, well, it should be obvious where you can find the rest. As always, if you want to find us live, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 to 9 p.m. at EST or GMT-5. We always could use more company. So tell your friends, don't tell your family. Tell people you hate.
Definitely people you hate.
If you want more of us or just want to catch us after hours, as always, the Discord can be found in both the panels and the description below. See you guys next time, and don't forget, there's always more and it always gets worse.